CBS News is doing a lot of reporting, and I want to make sure we get to all of the new information that is just coming in. Robert Costa, I know you have something new you want to share with us.
Yes. So sources close to several of the people who might be considered possible challengers to Vice President Harris for the nomination, people close to California Governor Gavin Newsom, people close to Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, all saying they're preparing to stand down. They do not believe that Democrats will challenge Vice President Kamala Harris at the convention in Chicago. Already in this immediate aftermath of President Biden's momentous decision, you see behind the scenes Democratic consolidation. The real race will be for vice presidential nomination on the Democratic side, but it is intriguing to me as a reporter, but there's no one at this moment preparing behind the scenes to challenge Vice President Harris.
That's right. Governor Gretchen Whitmer just saying, with Biden out, my job in this election will remain the same, doing everything I can to help elect Democrats and stop Donald Trump. She wrote that on social media, so she will not get in the way of Kamala Harris seeking this Democratic Party nomination.
And my sources agree with yours in terms of not seeing a head-to-head challenger. But the question then becomes, who is the person who stands beside her August 19th at that Democratic convention to seek the nomination in that vice president role? That's where the focus is. Anyone, I was told, looking to challenge her would be committing political suicide to try to go head-to-head after Joe Biden had been so key in making it very clear, just within minutes of announcing he was not going to seek re-election, that he was endorsing her. So that's what we're looking at now.
In a moment, let's talk about who those potential vice presidential picks will be. But first, I do want to touch base with Willie James Inman. He is in Delaware. And I know, Willie, you have some reaction from the Biden family. Willie?
Hey there, Nora. Good to be with you. Well, the Biden family is reacting to this seismic news today. Jill Biden, she reposted the president's statement and she put a heart emoji, so sending her love to her husband. We know that the First Lady has been with the president as he's recovering from COVID-19 here in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. We also are seeing some reaction from the president's granddaughter, Naomi Biden, who said, quote, "I'm nothing but proud today of my pop," referring to her nickname, of course, for the president there. And I want to bring up some reaction as well from Frank Biden, the president's younger brother, who tells ABC News that his brother's decision to step down out of the race boils down to his overall health and vitality, but also beating this genuine threat to our nation in the form of Donald Trump. Some reaction there from the Biden family, of course, who have been close with the president and coming to this decision that we are seeing today, Nora.
Willie James Inman, thank you. It is now the top of the hour, 3 o'clock here on the East Coast, and we are coming on the air with this breaking news. The historic decision by President Joe Biden announcing that he will not seek re-election, that he is dropping out of the presidential campaign, and that he is throwing his support behind his Vice President Kamala Harris. The president, in a statement, saying, "We have made great progress as a nation, and that it has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term." The president also indicating that he will speak to the nation later this week and have more detail about his decision. Let's go now to our chief White House correspondent, Nancy Cordes, at the White House with new details. Nancy?
Nora, you just read from that letter that the president sent and that went out publicly at 1:45 this afternoon. Well, I've just learned from a top White House official that senior campaign and White House officials were informed of his decision right before that letter went out. He said he'd been reflecting on it for the past couple of days and that this information was closely held. We still don't have much timing on when the president plans to make an address to the public. Keep in mind, he's still got COVID. He is isolating at his home in Rehoboth, but I'm told it should be sometime later this week.
And Nancy, what about the vice president? I understand that she was just in Cape Cod at a multi-million-dollar fundraiser. Where is she today? What's happening inside her group of advisors?
she has had to be so careful these past 3 weeks to be out there on the trail campaigning as if nothing has changed. At no point did she want to look like she was gunning for this job or hoping for the president to step aside, and yet she had to continue to be a vigorous campaigner pushing for the Biden-Harris ticket. And I anticipate that she is going to continue to, not want to get out ahead of the president. She has to now launch into a lightning sprint between now and Election Day, and yet with the president holed up with COVID, she's going to want to be very careful until he's had his opportunity to get out there and explain in a more fulsome way to the American people why he has decided to step aside and why he has decided to throw the weight of his support behind Kamala Harris.
Nancy Cordes at the White House, thank you for that perspective and new reporting. Robert Costa is here. Robert?
I've been texting and speaking with members of the inner circle of Vice President Harris. She is now perhaps the most important political figure in the United States. The assumed Democratic nominee, the first female to serve as the Democratic presidential nominee since Secretary Hillary Clinton in 2016. Her team and her closest friends are telling CBS News this afternoon that she is prepared to be the nominee to take on former President Trump at a debate, that they believe she is a strong debater, that she proved her chops when she was on the Senate Judiciary Committee grilling nominees for the Supreme Court, and that she was a prosecutor in California going back to her days in San Francisco. Her inner circle said she has been careful in recent days, but she has also been thinking ahead to the possibility as these calls and discussions have picked up speed. She expects former President Obama, President Biden in particular, to be out on the campaign trail for her. And there's also a belief right now inside Vice President Harris's inner circle that they could put former President Trump on the ropes, that he has so far in the past few days attacked her on personal characteristics, attacked her laugh at his latest campaign rally, called her Laughin' Kamala Harris. And they believe those kind of attacks, which are personal, will not stick with the kind of swing voters that are ultimately perhaps going to decide this election in the key battleground states.